Silence is often misunderstood in relationships. Many people believe that if they stop talking, stop texting, or stop showing attention, the other person will suddenly realize their value and come running back. This idea has been repeated so many times that it has started to feel like a universal rule. But the truth is far more complex. Silence by itself rarely changes how someone truly feels about you. What it often does instead is reveal the true emotional dynamic that was already there. When someone genuinely values you, distance can make them reflect. But when the connection was weak, silence simply creates more distance. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. The reactions, emotions, and decisions of another person belong entirely to them. You may control your actions, your words, and your mindset, but you cannot control whether someone misses you or not. When people use silence as a tactic to manipulate emotions, they are trying to control something outside their power. This is where frustration begins. Stoicism encourages a different approach, one based on self-respect rather than emotional strategy. Many people use silence hoping it will make someone chase them. The logic seems simple. If I disappear, she will notice my absence and feel the need to reconnect. Sometimes this happens, but not for the reasons people think. It is not the silence that creates attraction. It is the value someone perceives in you. If that value was already strong, distance can highlight it. If it was weak, silence simply confirms that the connection was never that deep to begin with. When someone truly respects and values you, your absence will naturally create curiosity. They will wonder how you are doing, what you are thinking, and why they have not heard from you. But if someone has already emotionally detached, silence does not create attraction. Instead, it gives them space to continue living their life without thinking about the relationship. In this situation, silence becomes less of a strategy and more of a quiet ending. Stoic thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius believed that peace comes from accepting reality rather than fighting it. If someone chooses not to value you, the healthiest response is not to manipulate the situation, but to accept the truth and move forward with dignity. Trying to force someone to miss you often leads to emotional games that slowly drain your self-respect. The deeper problem is that many people mistake silence for strength. They believe staying quiet automatically makes them mysterious, powerful, or emotionally unbothered. But real strength does not come from pretending not to care. Real strength comes from being emotionally stable enough to accept outcomes you cannot control. Stoicism reminds us that our worth is not determined by someone else's reaction. Another reason silence often fails is because it is used with the wrong intention. Silence driven by resentment or insecurity is very different from silence driven by inner peace. When someone disappears hoping to provoke a reaction, the energy behind that silence is still emotional dependence. Even without words, that dependence is often felt. People can sense when someone is withdrawing as a tactic rather than simply living their life. True Stoic silence is not about punishing someone or making them feel guilty. It is about withdrawing your attention from situations that do not align with your values. It is calm, grounded, and free from emotional manipulation. Instead of hoping someone notices your absence, you focus on building a life that does not depend on their validation. In many cases, silence fails because the other person simply moves on. This can feel painful, but it also reveals an important truth. If someone can easily continue their life without your presence, then their emotional investment was never as strong as you believed. Stoicism teaches that painful truths are better than comforting illusions. Facing reality allows you to grow stronger rather than remain trapped in false hope. When you stop chasing reactions and start focusing on self-growth, something interesting happens. Your energy changes. Instead of appearing desperate for attention, you become someone who is comfortable with themselves. Confidence grows quietly through discipline, purpose, and emotional independence. This is far more attractive than any silence tactic. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should never attach our happiness to things outside our control. Another person's affection is not something you can command. You can inspire it through character, kindness, and presence, but you cannot force it. When you understand this deeply, you stop trying to manipulate outcomes and begin investing in becoming the best version of yourself. Silence becomes powerful only when it reflects genuine self-respect. It is not about ignoring someone to create curiosity. It is about refusing to participate in relationships where your value is not recognized. This kind of silence is calm and confident. It does not need validation because it comes from inner clarity rather than emotional tactics. Many people who rely on silence are secretly hoping for proof that they matter. They want the other person to reach out, apologize, or suddenly show interest. But when that response does not come, the silence turns into anxiety. They check their phone repeatedly, wondering if a message will appear. This emotional state is the opposite of Stoic calm. Stoicism invites us to reverse the focus. Instead of asking why someone is not reacting to your silence, ask why your peace depends on their reaction. When you answer that question honestly, you begin to understand the deeper emotional patterns that drive your behavior. Growth starts with self-awareness. Your time and attention are some of the most valuable things you possess. Where you invest them shapes your life. When you spend that energy trying to influence someone else's emotions, you are giving away power that should belong to you. Stoicism encourages you to reclaim that power by directing your focus inward. Real transformation happens when you stop trying to prove your value and start living it. Discipline, purpose, and self-respect naturally create a presence that others notice. You do not need dramatic silence or emotional games. Your actions speak more clearly than any strategy ever could. Another Stoic teacher, Seneca, once wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many people imagine that silence will produce a dramatic reaction. They picture someone realizing their mistake and rushing back with regret. But real life rarely follows these imagined scripts. Holding on to those expectations often creates unnecessary disappointment. When you release those expectations, something powerful happens. You begin to experience relationships more authentically. You stop measuring every interaction as a test of your worth. Instead, you observe people's actions and accept them for what they are. This clarity protects your emotional stability. If someone genuinely values you, their behavior will show it naturally. They will make time, communicate openly, and invest effort in the connection. You will not need silence to trigger their interest. Their actions will speak clearly on their own. The goal is not to become emotionally distant or cold. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding them and refusing to be controlled by them. When you approach relationships with calm awareness, you create space for genuine connection rather than emotional manipulation. Imagine living a life where your confidence does not depend on whether someone texts back or not. Imagine feeling calm even when someone chooses to walk away. This level of emotional freedom is what Stoic philosophy ultimately offers. It is not about winning someone over. It is about mastering your own mind. Silence becomes meaningful when it represents boundaries rather than tactics. When you step away from situations that do not respect your value, you send a quiet but powerful message. Not to them, but to yourself. You remind yourself that your peace is worth protecting. Growth begins when you stop chasing reactions and start building purpose. Develop your skills. Strengthen your character. Invest in meaningful goals. The more focused you become on your own development, the less energy you will spend worrying about how someone else feels about you. Ironically, this is when people often become more attracted to you. Not because you used silence as a strategy, but because you stopped needing it. Confidence rooted in self-respect is naturally magnetic. It does not beg for attention, yet it often receives it. Remember that every experience, even painful ones, carries a lesson. If silence did not produce the reaction you expected, it may be revealing something important. It may be showing you where your attention truly belongs. Instead of interpreting it as failure, see it as clarity. Your value is not determined by someone's response to your silence. It is determined by the way you live, the discipline you maintain, and the character you build. When you anchor your identity in these things, relationships become healthier and more balanced. If this message resonated with you, and you want to learn more about Stoic wisdom, personal growth, and emotional strength, make sure you subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you join a community that believes in self-mastery, clarity of mind, and living with purpose. Subscribe to this channel now for more powerful insights inspired by Stoic philosophy. Every video is designed to help you build a stronger mindset, understand human nature, and develop the calm confidence that defines a true Stoic thinker. Your journey toward clarity and inner strength starts with one decision. Choose growth, choose wisdom, and choose the mindset that frees you from emotional games. And if you want more lessons like this, subscribe to the channel and continue learning how to think and live like a Stoic.